Picture this. A Tesla on autopilot runs a red light and causes a crash. Who's at fault? The manufacturer of the autopilot? The driver of the vehicle? Someone else? Or no one? This is Joseph Ott here at the Ott Law Firm. Today we're going to give a presentation about the evolving legal landscape for tort liability in systems in which the human and the machine control different aspects. On April 25th, 2019, George McGee was driving his 2019 Tesla Model S in autopilot mode. He approached an intersection on Card Sound Road in Key Largo, Florida. The intersection was marked with a stop sign and a flashing red beacon. When McGee approached the intersection, he dropped his phone on the floor, and as he reached down to pick it up, he inadvertently hit the accelerator pedal, causing the machine to accelerate from 45 to in excess of 60 miles an hour. Mr. McGee relied upon the Tesla's system to drive and control the vehicle, and the vehicle ultimately impacted a parked Chevy Tahoe on the side of the road. Mr. McGee suffered a serious traumatic brain injury, and a few bystanders and occupants of the Chevy Tahoe actually perished. As a result of the collision, a federal jury in Miami recently assessed over $300 million worth of damages against Tesla for its failures in advertising and regulating the autonomous system. This is a bellwether case in the ongoing legal framework that's being developed to govern how we hold the manufacturers of these autonomous systems liable, and what role, if any, the driver and user of the machine has in their responsibility to avert this type of catastrophe.
So we're going to start breaking down the tech of automation. The Society of Automotive Engineers defines that there are 5 levels of vehicle automation. We're going to start at 0. Level 0, there's no automation whatsoever. The car has 0 autonomous functions, and the driver is solely in control of the vehicle without any automated assistance. Now, at level 1, there is a little bit of driver assistance. Their driver is still mostly in control, but the vehicle has some limited autonomous function and capabilities in use. And for that would be a great example of cruise control. Now at level 2, we're starting to become a little bit higher up, a little bit more advanced, is partial automation. Now this means the vehicle has a little bit more advanced automated capabilities. This can include things like simultaneous control of both steering and acceleration. However, just as expected, the driver is still responsible for monitoring the driving environment and having their eyes on the road. And a lot of self-driving vehicles today fall under this level 2 category. Now at level 3, there's conditional automation. So in the context of autonomous driving, this means the vehicle can handle most of the driving tasks under specific conditions without any human input. But the driver must be ready to intervene and take control if prompted by the system. Next up, level 4, high automation. So this means the vehicle can drive itself in most situations without any human interaction. It's only within a specific geographical region or geographical area, or what they call operational design domain, or ODD for short. Finally, we get to level 5, which is full automation. Now, again, as I said previously, most of the self-driving vehicles now are at level 2. They can assist, but they do need us humans sitting in front of the wheel just in case something goes wrong. And we have to pay attention to our environments at all times. Now, at level 5, that changes completely. The vehicle can handle all the driving tasks in all conditions without any human interaction or control at all. Essentially, at level 5, the vehicle is fully autonomous, and it's capable of navigating that environment within the geographical region and does not need any human to be present at the time of driving.
So now let's talk about the real question here. Who's at fault when someone gets seriously injured and you have a crash that involves some part of human driving, some part of an autonomous vehicle driving? Now, in the original example that we gave at the beginning, we had a car that ran a red light. And if you're talking about the Tesla autopilot system at present that's publicly deployed upon all of their vehicles, This is a level 3 pursuant to the Society of Automotive Engineers level of automation. What that means is that the vehicle is being driven by the car, and the car is taking all responsibility for braking, steering, and accelerating. Now, in this circumstance, the designation is still level 3 because there's an affirmative requirement that the driver must pay attention and monitor the system as it performs. So if you're in your own Tesla vehicle and you run a red light while autopilot's on and it causes a crash, it seems clear that you're going to be at fault for causing the crash because you had an affirmative obligation to be monitoring the performance of the autonomous system in order to assure that it was working appropriately. In contrast, if you're driving in a Tesla robotaxi, this is classified by the Society of Automotive Engineers as a level 4 autonomous vehicle. In fact, in the robotaxi, there is no steering wheel, there are no pedals, so it would be impossible for you as the driver of the car to prevent that crash before it occurred. And it seems here the most reasonable assessment is that Tesla is going to be automatically liable for any damages that cause as a result of that, because you as the operator of the vehicle, if you can even call it that, have no control and no way to prevent such a crash from happening. This gets really into the meat of the issue. With autonomous vehicles, there's multiple levels of control. On one level, you have the human operator who, in some situations, would be able to steer the car, or brake, or accelerate in a way that diminishes the risk of a crash and that carries with it an attendant obligation that the driver maintain constant supervision of the road. Whereas in a level 4 vehicle, you don't have any opportunity for that control. Instead, it comes down to the manufacturer of the vehicle, and in particular, the design of the software that controls the autonomous decision-making associated with the car. So you have a level of the automotive company, and then beneath that, you have the software that controls the car. And further, you also know that as a software developer, you are requiring certain inputs be given to you from the car. So if a sensor breaks, that's going to impair your ability to utilize the software effectively. In the typical case at present, there's only a single manufacturer of the car, the autonomous system, the software, and the sensors. So as a practical matter at present, it's not necessary to make the differentiation between where the system actually failed. But in the future, we anticipate that there will be third-party developers of software that controls these autonomous vehicles. And if you are such a third-party developer and it's your component that failed, then more likely you're going to be held at fault. So we've been talking about the distinction between the different levels of autonomy in the context of the Society of Automotive Engineering and driving cars. And it's a good sample case for how AI will impact determinations of liability in the future. Now, in my Model 3 Tesla Performance, we see a level 2 system of automation. And although Tesla claims that it has full self-driving capabilities, the requirement that you are constantly paying attention to the system and how it's performing leads a lot of people to classify it as a level 2 system of engineering. Now, recall that in level 2, the automated system can handle, in the context of a car, all aspects of driving. So it can handle acceleration, braking, blinkers and signals, lane changes, routing, and the like. Now, the question is, why is that level 2? And the answer is that it requires you to, again, constantly pay attention to what it's doing. So you can even see when you launch this system, it says be attentive, keep your hands on the steering wheel, and if you look off the screen for too long, it begins to nag you to pay attention. Now, I think that the system works pretty well, but there are some improvements that could be made. I like that it allows you to take your hands off the wheel, even if you're still focused on it. It does provide a different experience when you're driving, and it's less tiring if you're driving a long distance or something like that. But I do think that it would benefit from being more seamless in terms of the handoff between human and automotive driving. And in particular, we saw the lawsuit where they got the $300 million verdict. And that was because the guy dropped his phone and put his foot on the accelerator. And you can see even here that when I accelerate, it does not take it out of driving mode or self-driving. So I think that is less good, less than ideal, because if you wanted to have a really nice augmented driving experience, it would be really seamless between the handoffs. So in any case, this is a good example for how to understand the distinction between level 2 and level 3 automation. So let's consider a few more cases with respect to autonomous or semi-autonomous vehicle operation in the context of assessing tort liability. The first case that I want to talk about is the Herzberg case. So in this case, Uber at the time was working on the development of fully autonomous road taxis, and they had outfitted a Volvo XC90 with certain aftermarket cameras and technologies that they hoped would enable the Uber to drive itself. And this case interestingly demonstrates a criminal component of potential liability in the event of an autonomous vehicle going awry and the driver of the self-driving vehicle failing to take reasonable precautions. So in the Herzberg case, the Volvo was driving and Uber had assigned a backup driver to be monitoring the roadway as it was driving. And the driver was actually watching Hulu at the time that the crash occurred. So Miss Herzberg was walking across a 4-lane highway when the Volvo XC90 on autopilot didn't see her and ran her over. And she later died from her injuries. Uber suspended all of its operations in the self-driving space following this incident because of the embarrassment caused by the purported backup driver and that they were watching Hulu at the time the crash occurred. It illustrates how distinction between the autonomous claim, the claim that the vehicle can drive itself without supervision, can lull a driver into acceptance and to not maintain constant vigilance over the road. In the Herzberg case, the driver was actually charged with criminally negligent homicide and was convicted but received only a 3-year probation sentence. Now, there have been other cases involving this as well. There was another 2018 case in California, or I apologize, in Arizona, where an Apple engineer named Mr. Huang was driving in his Tesla Model S, and he had the Model S on autopilot. He was going on the highway, so traveling at highway speed, when the autopilot veered off the road and impacted a median dead on. And Mr. Huang was able to win his case under the premise Tesla had marketed this as being a full self-driving capable machine, when in fact it was not capable of safely full self-driving, in that he should have been paying constant attention and using constant vigilance for the Tesla as it was driving and failed to do so. And he was able to effect a big settlement as a result of the claim that Tesla, again, was defective in their marketing for it. The Huang case, plainly demonstrates the need for companies that are deploying autonomous technologies to instruct and warn the user about their limitations and not overstretch the capacity of the machine to perform all actions that would typically be required of the human driver of the vehicle. So in terms of the case that we had at the beginning, the McGee case, to bring it full circle, it's very obvious that although AI has changed many things, it has not changed all things. And in particular, here we can see a corporation that's trying to take advantage of people by lying. And the jury in the McGee case was really upset, and principally it was because Tesla was being dishonest. They said that it's a full self-driving system, but it's not. You just saw the Tesla, self-driving was trying to pull me off a direction I didn't want to go. And in that case, it even went so far that Tesla deleted data relevant to what the plaintiffs were trying to prove. So no matter what AI changes, you always are going to need to speak truth to power and hold these corporations accountable. And I'm very proud of the plaintiff's lawyers in that case and think it was a good result. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We were real happy to put on a cool segment for you about self-driving cars and liability. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content.